All right, well, thank you everybody for coming in this afternoon. Good afternoon, and thank you for taking your time to do this. So after the webinar, we will make a free ebook on the Freedom Point available to you, as well as access to a questionnaire that will help you determine how close you are to your Freedom Point. We will also make the Value Builder Score questionnaire available to you so that you can see how you are doing against the 8 drivers of business value. I want this to be an hour you won't soon forget. And with that, a brief introduction, just a few words about myself. I've been a chartered accountant for 40 years, with the last 26 years in my own practice assisting small businesses. From the start of my practice, I've always been looking for ways to help businesses with more than just complying with and optimizing tax laws. When I present a tax return to a client, I can see that they are interested in how much they have to pay, but the rest of it, not so much. But when I start to talk to them about their business, their pride and joy, then I can see them light up. This is an area that I find most interesting as well, and thus I became a certified value builder and now use the Value Builder system to help clients reach their goals in business and in life. So our agenda for this afternoon's meeting is a brief discussion about what is freedom. Talk about some key value drivers in your business. How does financial performance drive value? We're going to look at some trends that have happened in the near term. We're going to take a second to calculate your Freedom Point. Does it take more than a second? The importance of calculating your Freedom Point, and how to get started on the road to freedom. And after that, the agenda, we're going to have the question and discussion period, which of course we mentioned we're not recording. I want to start today by talking about the understanding that freedom is hardwired into your psyche. So I want to take the opportunity here to ask, what does freedom mean to you? Freedom, there's freedom at different levels. One is your personal freedom. What does your freedom mean to you in terms of hiking, golfing, being on the beach, or spending time with family, vacationing in an impromptu way? But there's also the freedom of your business itself. So we're going to get back today to center around getting back to why you started your business in the first place. The freedom, it was probably revolved around the freedom to do things your way, to work when you want, with who you want. And of course, you wanted to have the financial freedom of owning a business. But the real question is, do you have freedom as a business owner? Would you like to have freedom? Of course you would. Could you see yourself getting to a point where you have freedom from your day-to-day business activities? Many owners find themselves in a cycle of running their business, and that the business depends on them to run. This phenomenon we're going to call the owner's trap. Signs you've fallen into the owner's trap are that business slows down when you take a vacation. Customers come to you with problems. Your growth has hit a plateau. Not only are businesses stuck in the owner's trap, stressful to run, they're also worth significantly less than they could be, because few people are going to buy a company that is dependent on its owner. After learning about the owner's trap, what do you think the ultimate freedom is? The ultimate freedom in your business is to own a valuable, sellable business. Remember, the goal is to build a sellable business, not necessarily because you want to sell it. And in order to do that, we need to understand what makes a business sellable. And it has to be independent of you so that you can do what you want with it in terms of scaling it, selling it, passing it down, or simply running it as the company's chairperson without being involved in the day-to-day activities. The ultimate freedom. So the owner dependency is a major driver of the value of your business. But we want to look at what else drives the business value. Today, we're going to explore 2 of the 8 main drivers that they talk about in the Value Builder system. I'll explain how the driver impacts your company's value, and then we'll discuss how to start to improve your performance. So we look at the business from the eyes of an acquirer, even though we might not want to sell it. Understanding the methodology an acquirer will use in the future allows you to drive up the value of your business today. Let's take a look at the first driver, which is financial performance. To understand the driver, we want to analyze definitively what buyers are looking for. One thing when they make an acquisition, they are buying your future stream of profits. There are 2 main levers when assessing the stream. One is how much profit your company will generate in the future, and 2, how reliable are those estimates? So I thought we would do a little thought experiment here. Let's assume the seller forecasts $1 million in pre-tax revenue, and the buyer wants a 15% return on their money. How much would the buyer be willing to pay for this business? And let's look at the valuation methodology. First, the buyer would be willing to pay $869,570 today for the rights for $1 million tomorrow, assuming he wants his 15% return. And that's simply done by dividing the million by $1.15. The process continues for the second year, where the second year's profits are again divided by $1.15. And when we add all these together, when we sum up the present values of the 10 years of $1 million profit, we see that the business is worth a little more than $5 million. And we want to talk about the other lever related to manipulating the value of your business. We've talked about the profits. Now we want to talk about how reliable those estimates are. Let's focus on the reliability of the future stream of profits. How would a buyer assess a business with the same revenue forecast, but the confidence in the forecast is low? Let's see what happens when the business value, when a buyer applies a 50% discount compared to the original 15% discount on future profit projections. Okay. And when we do that, we see that at a 50% discount, the business is only worth around $2 million, a decrease of $3 million. So the reality is your business is likely to get a discount rate somewhere between the overly optimistic 15% and overly pessimistic 50% rate that we've used here. The rate will be determined on how risky the buyer deems your future stream of profits to be. Second driver of value that we want to talk about today is arguably the most important. We call it hub and spoke. It is the extent to which your business relies on you, the owner. It comes from the airline industry's reliance on hub airports, which is an efficient way to move planes around the globe until the hub gets snowed in and the entire system breaks down. In this analogy, you're the hub. The hub and spoke manager controls their business with decisions centralized at the hub. Remove the hub and the business is worthless or deeply discounted. More importantly, hub and spoke businesses are stressful to run because you can never take a break. All decisions, even the most mundane, are brought to you. Some people use profitable and valuable interchangeably, but of course they are often in conflict with one another. Instead of hiring salespeople, the owner seeking to maximize her profits would do the selling herself. Instead of hiring a management team, The owner seeking profit would likely hire the lowest paid staff they could to simply execute. While the profit seeker may maximize their profits, they may be leaving a lot of money on the table when it comes to their company's value and their ultimate freedom. So far today, we have covered 2 of the 8 key drivers of your company's value. Your score on each of these drivers rolls up to determine your value builder score. Value builder score helps determine how your company will fare compared to other companies in your industry. The value builder score is an important measure to help owners on their journey towards freedom and the freedom point. We want to talk about the freedom point today, and to do that, I want to mention that I'm a great fan of the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, written by Stephen Covey. The one habit that I particularly like is begin with the end in mind. The idea here is what we need to know is that we need to know where we are going before we start the journey. This leads to the development of the most efficient route to that end. That end here today, your freedom point. The vast majority of business owners are motivated by independence. They're not looking to build the next Google, but to be in charge of their business. Before we talk about how to determine your freedom point, I thought it would be good to talk about the results of a recent survey. We are all well aware that the last 2 or 3 years in business have been very difficult for most, with the effects of the COVID lockdowns and what happened with supply chains and the economy as a result. We are now seeing inflation rates that we haven't seen for a very long time, and interest rates increasing in response. In the survey, we see here that there are 350% increase in owners who expect to see a drop in revenue in the next year. On this slide, we see that owners are more likely to sell their business to a third party after COVID than they were before, where other business transitions were more likely. The next survey determined that more owners are planning to sell their business in the next 5 years as opposed to sticking around. And finally, we see a change in the view owners have of what it means to be wealthy, with the preference becoming one more closely defined as freedom, being able to do what you want when you want, then attached to a dollar amount like $10 million. So how do we figure out our freedom points? Just a few points here, pictures of points actually, where we've got the ultimate freedom that people might have. Things in terms of points in geography, a nice highway that you might want to do a bike ride down or go ballooning. But before we do that, I want to talk about one more thing, and that is some research that was done by economists in 2011. The economists and financial advisors have used the 4% withdrawal rate rule as a guide to determining the rate at which one could withdraw from their accumulated assets and have enough to comfortably live out their retirement. The graph here shows the probability of financial failure at various withdrawal rates, with a 9% rate triggering a 70% chance of failure, down to a 4% withdrawal rate triggering a 9% chance of failure, and a 3% withdrawal rate resulting in the lowest chance of failure at 1%. To be conservative here and give ourselves the highest chance of financial success, we will use a 3% withdrawal rate to determine how much we need to meet our financial freedom point. And that's going to mean, of course, multiplying our result by 33, which you can see here. So we've done a review of our expected lifestyle and how we currently live. And we use a pre-tax income of $100,000 per year as an example to give us the lifestyle we seek. Of course, your amount will vary depending on your definition of freedom and your cost of living. We multiply the $100,000 by 33 to give us the total investment we need to withdraw $100,000 per year at the conservative 3% rate. This gives us $3.3 million. From this, we deduct the value of our non-business assets to acquire the value we need to reach our freedom point from our business assets. To that number, we're adding the value of long-term debt in the business to get the net proceeds that we need to realize our financial freedom. To that, we're adding selling fees, legal fees, taxes at 32% to reach our freedom point. So your freedom point will be realized when your business is worth $3.8 million. And of course, this is an example, and it will vary with all the different numbers that we need to change in the calculation. So we started out today talking about what a business acquirer is looking for in buying a business, that being a future stream of profit. We looked at the first driver of business value, which is financial performance. We then looked at the goal of freedom, which is how much it would take to get to that point with an example. The final slide here shows us what happens when the business gets to the value of the freedom point. In this graph, we see a constant, steady increase in the business value over time. Until we hit the freedom point, the risk associated with keeping the business is off. But after we hit the freedom point, continuing the business increases and includes the risk that its value will decline. So for a review of what we've discussed today, we are looking at the 8 drivers of business value which are used by acquirers to buy a business. We need to consider these as we make decisions around what is likely our most valuable asset, our businesses. Making your business more valuable will get you to your financial freedom point sooner. The ultimate freedom for your business is to own a valuable, sellable business, one that is not dependent on the owner. This gives the freedom to operate a business as you like, which is to scale it, sell it, pass it down, or simply just be the chairperson. The key takeaways from today's presentation is that the ultimate freedom goal is to own a valuable, sellable business. Look at your business always through the eyes of the acquirer. Have the end in mind to know where to start and calculate your freedom point. If you go past your freedom point without selling or pivoting your business, you increase your risk of lowering the business value. Knowing your freedom score is a good place to start. We have a few tools that we offer to our clients and in order to help you with this process. First, we have the Value Builder Score questionnaire that you can use to explore how your business is doing compared to others in your industry. The questionnaire takes about 25 minutes to complete, and then you'll get your Value Builder Score along with a report outlining opportunities to improve your business. We welcome you to go to our website, rtisi.ca, to learn about the services we provide and to download resources that can help you increase the value of your business. And we want you to contact us to get your free freedom score report to see how close you are to hitting your freedom point. This report will be done by you, and then we're going to go over what it says and what you can do to improve the value of your business. And I want to thank you again for your time today, and we look forward to helping you reach your ultimate goal, which would be freedom.